If it's Monday night, it's Swing for the Fences with DC, Big T, and JT. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. Saw some shippers in Showdown. Big T called the GOAT of Showdown by one Twitter user who doesn't normally use paid services, but decided to jump in on the promo. Promo, I think, is still up. Not sure what the code is. It's on our website. Big T will tell us what the code is in a few minutes. Hope everybody's doing well. Boys, we've got an interesting slate tonight. 9 games. It is still Pride Month, by the way. So I hope that you are enjoying Pride as I am. Happy Pride to everybody. As always, you have any questions, go ahead and drop them here in the chat. Swing for the Fences. Big T, what's going on? Nice night for you last night in the NBA Showdown streets.
Yeah, the NBA playoffs have just been very, very good. I say it when it's bad. There's been times where it's been bad, and everyone's always, you never take L's and this and that. I've taken plenty of L's the last couple of years, trust me. I know as good as anyone that it's been a rough time, but the playoffs have just been awesome. I mean, all the content at Run Pure for the playoffs have been great. The last night was my favorite. You guys know this from we worked long enough. When I see like 5-6 logos up there, again, I'm not saying it was just because of the content for the people out there. Like, people still build their own teams. But when you see 6-7 Run Pure logos plus other people sending Twitter messages that don't have a Run Pure logo saying, I looked at the content, it helped me win. Like, I love those nights. And it's even better when you're a part of it too. It's fun even when you're like do good and everybody wins. But when you're in the chop, Rubio, who's done the showdown content, obviously all year on there, was in the chop, and a couple other people. Obviously, Bryce was in the chop, and then a bunch of logos from Run Pure too. So I love those nights, and really I don't see much changing in this series. So they jumped a few of the prices up for Wednesday night's game now that they space them. But you have a series that there's going to be a lot of opportunity to make money, just the way it's set up. We're almost back to like the Jokic thing where one guy is so far ahead of the second best guy as far as skill in the series that you get a pretty nice edge when you can start your team knowing who the captain's going to be most of the time. So, yeah, check us out. I need to look up the promo code because the donkeys that set it up, it's like 18 words long that I have to remember what it is, but something about JBC wins 100K or something.
Yeah.
I'm not
JBC
sure.
wins 100K.com. Happy Pride. Something like that.
Yeah, so it's a lot of words built in there. We got all the letters covered in the promo code. Yeah. So we're but there is, and you get a free week. So some people have had issues with it. All you have to do literally is sign up for the monthly package and you get a free week. I think some people were like trying to click on the weekly and get free week, but you have to click a month to get the free week. But it's especially for U.S. Open week. I think it's still going to be up this week. If you want U.S. Open content, which everyone should want U.S. Open content for a big week like this, check us out. Free week. If you don't like it, I guarantee you can go in and cancel and not have to pay anything. So check it out. And you got nights like this, baseball with us. Your guys' core will be up. I'll have the player pool and core stuff up. Everyone else too in the core page. So check us out. Great week to check us out for a 1-week free trial.
1 week free trial. Snyder's Soldiers will be up. Of course, Snyder wanted to have a double promo. He was advocating for some things in between sets of dips at the gym. And Snyder is the best. He's hammering. His Soldiers will be in there. Bryce, congratulations. He was part of that chop. Good thing, DC, that he got up in time to make those lineups, because I know yesterday was a struggle for the guys coming off of the UFC event. But it's good to see you, DC. How's your Monday going?
It's going great. And yeah, that's a nice rebound for Bryce. You know, he misses the early show, but he rebounds for the big chop in the NBA playoff, in the NBA Finals street. So congrats to Big T, Bryce, everybody else who chopped that. Awesome stuff. And you know what's even better about it, Big T? The reason you're the showdown, you know, as they say, the showdown NBA GOAT, when it comes to the playoffs, is because you're watching every single game, right? It's a whole different animal compared to the regular NBA season, right? When really nobody can watch every game and it's all projections based. But I'm sure you're kind of watching these games and being like, I think maybe I know how, you know, the minutes could be adjusted one way or the other. And yeah, you get to the top. So love to see it. Congratulations. And yeah, let's get to some baseball here.
Yeah, you're right though about those projections. That's the biggest difference. And I'll be honest, I haven't done that great the last 2 NBA seasons, and I haven't watched a ton, to be honest. It's just the projections are so good that it is what it is. I haven't done as good with the playoffs. You can move stuff. I mean, like last night, if you bumped Shea up and you bumped the Indy guys down, and then you bumped up a guy like Wiggins, you were going to have a good night, no matter what. Really, you might not have had the nut, but you'd be close. You'd have a chance to hit the combo. Put it that way.
100%.
Outstanding. All right, so we are on to a 9-game MLB slate. As always, any questions, drop them in the chat. Except if your name is the Kid 1982, where is my banana? It's none of your business, you fucking freak. Let's get started with the first game of the slate. It is in Pittsburgh, DC. It's the only game with weather, and the weather looks like it's going to be something where you don't want to use the pitchers. I don't know that we have a lot of interest in the bats here, although Miami did wake up. A big park downgrade, though, for the Marlins, going from Steinbrenner Field in Tampa up to Pittsburgh. It is Yuri Perez making his return from the IL, 7K, and Mike Burrows, 6K. We like using pitchers against the Pirates. Don't think there's a reason to risk it with Yuri Perez making his first start back and the weather. What about Perez, Burrows, the Marlins, and the Pirates? DC, we'll go to you first.
Yes, I'm holding out hope that this weather will be okay for pitching as well, because I really do like Yuri Perez here at 7K. Like you said, JT, making his return, last pitched in 2023, so it's been like a year and a half. But man, this dude was 20 years old when he debuted, touching 100 miles per hour, really good pitcher, effective pitcher. He was good even at age 20. Looking at his ramp-up starts, it looks like they've taken their time with him. He's, I think, thrown more pitches, 7 consecutive minor league starts in a row, starting with just an inning, but up to 82 pitches last time out. So I think this is all weather permitting, but I think we could see, 90 pitches from Perez, who's an electric arm. There's no question about it. You can even look at the minor league data on the pitches now and see that he's got the same stuff that he had before he got hurt back in 2023. So I do think he's going to be really, really good going forward. Obviously, it's one start, but it's the Pirates. He's cheap. It doesn't look like he's going to be overly owned. So I think he checks a lot of boxes. Again, got to keep an eye on the weather, an hour and a half here before game time, but not quite giving up on it yet. Do really like him if it looks safe enough. And then, again, weather permitting, I do kind of like the Marlins bats a little bit against Mike Burrows and the Pirates bullpen, which isn't good. Decent hitting weather here if the game plays. Sanchez, Agustin Ramirez, Stowers, 2, 3, 4 looks good to me as well for the Marlins side.
Big T, we're at the first game of the slate, and already DC is using a pitcher that I didn't think anybody would have any interest in. And I understand the talent perspective. First game back here, and we've got some weather. What are your thoughts here on Perez, Burrows, Marlins, and Pirates?
Yeah, it didn't take long. DC had to get back in there. Mondays, we like to get interesting on Mondays.
A little frisky.
We like to get a little frisky on the Monday show. So right out of the gate, he's bringing a dude in a rainstorm that hasn't pitched yet this year, just to fire things up for us here. And I like that. But
I knew I was going to have to defend myself earlier.
When you put it that way, who isn't interested in Yuri Perez? I mean, in a rainstorm, who hasn't made a start?
There's a lot of mediocre pitchers on this slate.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
It's if it was perfect, I'll say this. If it was perfect conditions, and I knew it was going to play, I honestly think both of these pitchers are somewhat in play at their price tags.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're terrible. Even our boy, what was the dude from Prison Break? Lincoln Burrows? Did you guys ever watch Prison Break? No, you guys
I did, but I don't know their names. It's been
the brother's name was Lincoln Burrows. The dude that was originally
that level
in
of
jail.
detail. Sorry.
JT, don't be shaming Prison Break. That was a good show.
Great show.
Don't be starting the Monday trash talk by dumping on Prison Break.
You trashed my first play of the day.
We start out hot. I like that. Prison Break.
90% chance of rain. Yeah. The guy hasn't pitched in the major leagues in over a year. I get he's talented. And DC, I'm with you.
I'm going to go back to that statement. I think that I let it off properly by saying he recommended a dude in a storm that hasn't pitched yet this year.
Yeah. When I looked at it, I was like, ooh, Yuri Perez, 7K. Then I was like, oh, torrential downpours from the time the game begins until it's scheduled to end. Oh, he hasn't pitched in the big leagues in a year and a half. All right, maybe I won't be playing him. But you know, you never know. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do it live on the screen, but this game's leaving my favor sim at the moment. But I will say, if the game somehow got totally cleared, I think both pitchers are in play. I'm not playing hitters either way, though, no matter what. So,
no interest in the Marlins. Marlins are showing up pretty popular here. I think maybe a bit of an overreaction to a nice weekend in that small Tampa stadium. Yeah. Now they go to this park where you just rarely see runs in Pittsburgh on either side. It's just very painful. Someone just commenting in here that the Pirates actually sweep the Phillies over the weekend. They scored 5 runs. I think the Phillies scored 3. It's just hard for this game to be the optimal.
Well, I always get sidetracked. That's why I do shows longer than you guys. But, like, why does no one think Skeens is like dominant anymore? He has been freaking mowing, like crushing. I just keep playing him and no one plays him. You guys have the numbers. Do his numbers like not look as good or something?
No, he started off the season a little bit. I think there's a couple of things. One is that he's pitching for a team that they lose almost every one of his starts, right? So there's that. He did start off the year a little bit lower. Like even yesterday, what did he have? 7 strikeouts, DC. 7.
He freaking mowed yesterday, though.
He did. So there's he
had to start the year a little slow, though. He's spending some time on the old bench at home. He wasn't working out in the off season.
No doubt. Lots of bench time. Maybe that's what it was. So people concerned that maybe he was a little bit more interested in the bench than the mound, but that's not the case. He's fantastic, and there you go.
Are they really 1-8 in his starts?
Yeah. It hasn't been good. Uncle T would never leave the house. All right. Let's move on. Next game. Here we go, Big T. This is one where we could use your particular skill set and knowledge. It's the Reds coming out of Great American Ballpark, heading into Cleveland, take on the Guardians. Wade Miley is back in our lives. He's back in the big league, 6,200. Not sure what's going on in Cincinnati that they decided to reach back out onto the street to pick up Wade Miley, but he's there at 6,200. Luis L. Ortiz, make sure you put the L in because otherwise he won't come up. 7,500. Ortiz coming off a really, really good game against the Yankees. Now he gets the Reds with a park downgrade. What are your thoughts here on the Reds and the Guardians, Big T?
Yeah, we got a slate tonight, too, where I'm pretty sure it's one of the ones, first time in a long time, that we don't have any of those, like, really good parks and any of, like, the normal spots. Even, like, teams like the Reds are on the road in a bad park. So you get a ton of, like, bad reversals from parks and stuff, which a lot of people in the chat were, like, liking earlier in our Discord. I always like when there's, like, a clear-cut spot because you can either play it or fade it, and it just creates the slate where – I know the flip side is it's spread out more, which is also good in baseball where you can take stands. But I just hate spots like this where the Reds, who I don't love anyways, their lineup, go on the road, a much bigger park downshift. I just don't like these spots much ever. And then on top of it, I actually like this Ortiz dude a little bit. He struck out a bunch of guys a few of the games. His price tag is cheap on this slate. I can't play obviously Miley, but I'm more on Ortiz, and I don't love the bats in this game. Though Miley is as annoying as he is, he just throws junk in there. I know I always talk about Lester from back in the day, but he reminds me of Lester where they just throw frisbees in there, and it's not good frisbees, but people just don't hit it hard all that much. So I'm sure you guys will probably like Cleveland because of Miley, but I'm not. I'm just on Ortiz here. I'll keep it simple. I don't love these offenses.
So I would agree with that. And as I started looking at this game, I said Miley reminds me a lot of, and when I say Miley reminds me a lot of, I'm talking 3 years ago when he was an actual major league pitcher, reminds me a lot of Jose Quintana because Quintana, you don't think should have success, but he does have success. But DC, this isn't the Wade Miley from 3 years ago. He's not in pitching shape. He got roughed up his first start out. I think, and again, you have the Guardians who are going to be popular here. So I think there's more to this discussion than what we thought of Wade Miley the last time he was on a major league roster, DC. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first thing's the weather in Cleveland. I think this is the best hitting environment weather-wise that they've had the entire season in Cleveland tonight. Ballpark Pal's got this rated as the best run scoring environment of any park on the entire slate. And they did that thing in Cleveland where they changed the right field bleachers or whatever it was. And now apparently the winds really affect it out to right field. It becomes a really good home run park in that direction. So I was laughing because I come on these shows and I always know, who I like going in, but I have no idea if I'm going to agree with Big T or not. And this appears to be one of the shows where perhaps not. Perhaps we're going to be on different sides of the coin, which is totally fine. But I really, really like the Reds lefties against Luis Ortiz for the park factors that I mentioned. Ortiz also gives up a ton of stolen bases. Friedel, Ellie De La Cruz at the top of the lineup. Lux is cheap, swinging from the left side. And then you got 3K Encarnacion Strand, who's just absolutely mashing right now. I think he's one of the better bargains on the slate. So, man, that top four, Friedel, Lux, Cruz, Encarnacion Strand, they can all take advantage of the park here. They've got speed against a pitcher that allows it. And Ortiz has huge splits. He's getting crushed by left-handed bats, which profiles perfectly for those top three on the Reds. So the Reds are my favorite stack on the whole slate, specifically that top four. And then, Guardian side, I'm kind of with you guys, a little bit neutral. I think they're fine plays, but it's the red side of this one that I like a lot better.
Did not expect to hear that. Did not expect to hear that you would.
My reasons make sense, JT. You listen. Did they make sense to you?
I don't generally like them, especially when they come right out of Great America. Now that's not totally supported by statistics, but I don't know. I didn't look at this slate and think, all right, the Reds are the best plays. I will certainly rethink that upon hearing. I will tell you this: Luis Ortiz, young pitcher coming off a massive game against the Yankees. Almost always they're going to disappoint in their next start. So I wasn't on board with Ortiz as much, who's going to be very popular on this.
Another good thing about the Reds is you get to go against a chalk pitcher.
He's going to be the preferred spend down, no question, on this slate. So I expect he's going to come in 30-40%. He's not at this stage of his career a pitcher that shouldn't be that high owned. So all right.
You think Luis Ortiz is going to come in 30 or 40% owned?
I do.
Red season, Big T. Jump on board. Not too late.
I mean, I'm not totally out on this game just because the slate. Like, I don't think there's not a lot of spots as we go through that I'm going to be like, I love this spot.
This is a good one. I'm telling you, good one.
All right, let's keep gambler's fallacy. I'm not sure exactly what Dulkin is. I'm not sure exactly what I said that leads you to that, although I think I was talking about that with how Ortiz's results are having people roster him at a higher point than maybe they should. All right. Bean-Air, go fuck yourself. All right. Cubs, Phillies, Matthew Boyd, DC, 8,300. Matthew Boyd, another guy who seemingly released by half the teams in the league, now having some measure of success with the Cubs. Think pitching a little bit over his head against Zach Wheeler, 10-5. Phillies, man, swept over the weekend by the Pirates in Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts here on this game, DC?
So, Boyd to me, 8,300 in Philadelphia against, I know they've been a little cold, but I don't think Boyd is in play. So he's completely off the list for me. I do think you could play the Phillies bats here. I mean, great place to hit. They're back at home. Boyd's got home run issues to right-handed bats. So, Phillies I think are okay. They just seem maybe a little expensive for what you're getting. And then the bigger question is what to do with Wheeler, right? I think it's somewhat close between him and Sale, but I personally much prefer Sale, mostly due to the matchup. I just don't really want to mess with this Cubs offense right now, who've put a lot of hurting on a lot of different pitchers, in worse conditions than this. So Honestly, I think Wheeler's fine. We will get, I think, an ownership discount going from Sale to Wheeler, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough of them. So if you're double spending, I have no problem with the Wheeler-Sailor combination, but if choosing between the two, I do prefer Sale. I'll probably have Wheeler on a lineup or two, but not going crazy with him. And then not playing, I don't think, any Cubs bats at all.
So this is one of the spots we're going to differ. Sale coming off arguably his worst start of the season against the Braves. The Braves will get to him a time or two a year, even this form of the Braves. And you're right. Sale is going to be twice as owned. Cubs shut down yesterday by Jack Flaherty. It doesn't mean it's going to happen again, but Big T, I think, Wheeler is going to be 25%, Sale going to be 50, 60% owned. We'll talk about that when we get to that game. But what are your thoughts here on the Cubs and the Phillies?
Yeah, the Phillies are ice cold right now, too. Like, I think I saw someone in the chat say they're like 1-12 or something, their last 13 or something like that. Yeah. Whatever they said, I can't remember. But they haven't been scoring either. Someone else said that Pittsburgh scored 5 runs, whatever they said, and swept them. So I actually think he can play Boyd, too, on this slate. I don't like the offense. And Wheeler is just a guy that I just don't worry about matchup with a guy like Wheeler. I know that sounds crazy. Obviously, I like better matchups, as you always would. But when it's tough and you're going against the Cubs, I think his ownership comes down. Let me pull it back.
Absolutely.
What do they have him? Projected like 30% owned. I just think he's the class of baseball, honestly. He's the most consistent, just solid pitcher. He might not have the most upside in the world, but I think he's just rock solid to get me 20-something, and I'll always take that. You guys know how I like to play DFS baseball. I like to spend up at pitcher as much as I can, find shitty hitters if I need to. So I'm all aboard Wheeler today. I love Wheeler in this spot. The Cubs scare me a little bit, but whatever. I mean, if they get to him, they get to him. I'll take my chances, and I like Boyd too. So I am definitely only on the pitchers here. I don't like these offenses.
Yeah, I think the Phillies are going to come out of this at some point, and I honestly think this isn't the worst spot to try and target them at lower ownership. But I am with you. I am probably going to at least inverse the Sale and Wheeler ownership in terms of my exposure. We'll talk more about that when we get to the Brewers and the Braves. But the next game, Big T, is the Rays. Tampa Bay leaving home, going to Boston. Shane Baz, 7,800. Brian Bello, 6,600. Of course, the Red Sox coming off of the Sunday Night Baseball game where they beat up on Carlos Rodon and the Yankees bullpen. Thoughts here on the Rays and the Red Sox? A little cool in Boston tonight, 59, 60 degrees, a little bit of wind blowing it.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell from I always like to, in my head, think about like what I think the run totals will be with the pitchers and stuff, and then I look at like the wind and the conditions, and it makes sense because this is definitely a game where I expected these numbers to be higher than 4-5 and 4-3 for sure. So once you start talking about the weather and these pitchers like feel talented to me on the surface, but they both have gotten beaten up at times too. For whatever reason, Bayo, or however you say his name, I thought he was supposed to be like some crazy strikeout guy when he came up. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I could be, but
no. Let me refresh what we talked about last Monday night when Bello was on the slate. He's getting into the 5th inning and then giving up a ton of runs. So just not able to get through really the second time through the order. For Baz, he started off the season great. He hit a stretch where he was just absolutely terrible for a couple of starts, and then he's been okay. The issue with the Rays pitchers, Big T, when they're very popular, I don't love playing them because there's really no innings upside there. But Baz is a guy at 10% ownership on this slate that I think is interesting with the way this slate sets up.
It's definitely an interesting slate as we go through it, where you can make a case for a lot of pitchers and you can make a case for a lot of different stacks which I don't like when it's like this as much. I'll be honest. I like when there's clear-cut spots and you can just jam it in and get different in other spots. But, I mean, I don't disagree. I think both of these pitchers, especially at these prices, were 7,800. Bayo is, 6,600. Definitely at least in the consideration of guys you can play, especially with that weather, like you talked about, not being great. And I don't love these lineups either. I feel like Boston's just keeps. Am I missing someone in here, or do they not have someone?
Their top prospect, Roman Anthony's in the lineup.
Yeah,
he's not in the player pool.
Don't say too much about it. Captain's already on a bridge somewhere about this. So.
He's been working hard since we talked about that. Like he's getting after it in the streets to add. They're responding to him saying they can't do it every day, and it's quite the battle.
Yeah, it is. It's it's sort of like the emperors in Rome going against the rest of Eastern civilization.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but this lineup just feels rough to me. I don't know. Every day when I pull it up, I feel like it gets worse. No different today. Your boy did crush last week. Was it last week I made fun of Duran and he hit the wall twice?
Right, yes, you didn't want to play Duran because he hadn't scored a point when he faced Chris Sale, Spencer Schwellenbach, and somebody else. It was very upsetting.
Yeah, he what did he end up with last week? Let's see.
I think he had 15 on Monday night.
17. I think it's 17 the second. Yeah, 17 on me last week.
You got him right out of the pool. You just took him right out of the pool on me. Said,
gone.
Yeah.
Very hurt. You get the W for that one though. I give you the 17 gets you a dub for sure. But I don't know. I don't love the offense or the pitchers in this game. I know that.
Okay.
I do like the prices, though, of some of these guys in the middle, just eyeballing it, like Toro, Story, super cheap. Like, I like these better than, like, whoever we were – the Reds earlier. The Reds, those prices.
Right. Yeah. Right. Tampa Bay Power is interesting to me. Caminero. Brandon Lau has been hitting. He's been on a little bit of
that's the dude I always like. I didn't have him up. That's the guy I always like. Against righties, I always like him.
JSU and Uncle T remember us talking about Brian Bella last week. You don't remember that conversation?
I remember that he was free. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't remember the rest of the conversation, whatever
that's all right.
I already gave you one W. Now you're coming back in for it. Don't make me
No. I just it's funny from week to week how sometimes we discover new information anew.
I mean, he went 103 pitches, double-digit points. I mean, I don't know. He's fine.
11, right, yeah.
But he was free. It was on the slate. He was free. That's what helped that slate.
All right. DC. Uncle T is in here cracking me up. All right, DC, thoughts on the Rays and the Red Sox? You were as you are tonight on Yuri Perez, you were one of the first to talk about Brian Bell. You're up on these prospects. It's been a rough ride for him. What are your thoughts on this game tonight?
Yeah, like you said, the talent's clearly there, and he'll start off well, and then, like you said, off and fade off in the second or third time through the lineup. I'm not really on Bayo tonight. I think he's an okay play. There's enough strikeouts that you could use him. Not going to be likely in my player pool. Same with Shane Baz. I would really like the offenses here if it was warmer and some winds blowing out, but I'm just not sure. I don't know. I feel like I've played the Rays guys, 30 times in their park with perfect weather, and they still disappoint me. So I don't know if I want to do it here, but wouldn't shock me if this is a time when they actually go off. So I think that, again, both of these offenses are fine. I will say, like we said, Reds top prospect, and I think top prospect overall in all of baseball, Roman Anthony making his MLB debut. He is available on FanDuel. He's 2,200 over there. So I'm sure he'll be popular, but if you need the savings, this dude has crazy, crazy talent. So he'll be a fun one to watch for sure. But yeah, DFS wise, I'm mostly off this game kind of all the way around.
Yeah, I'm definitely lower on 5-mans here, but I do like some of the power bats, particularly on the Rays side. So that's at least where I'm looking. DC, we'll stay with you. And a bit to talk about here because Chris Sale and the Braves, after another disappointing weekend, they've now lost 6 in a row, swept in San Francisco. Go to Milwaukee, take on the Brewers. Aaron Savali, 6,500. Sale, 10K. And Sale has been great. 4 games in a row, more than 20 fantasy points. But in those 4 games, DC, 97% of men left on base, a batted ball against of 205. And it just strikes me as, this has got to be a little bit tough to come in, pitch every 5th day, not getting any offensive run support. And at some point, a leak is going to crack and he's going to give up some runs. I'm going to bet on it being perhaps tonight, and that's why I'm going to play more Wheeler than Sale. Sale going to be easily 50%. I think much more than that on this slate, depending on the contest. Then you look at Savali, 6,500. Savali been very, very lucky in terms of batted ball recently, but can the Braves actually put some runs up is the big question. They seem to be surprisingly maybe one of the more popular offenses on this slate as well. Give us your thoughts on Sale and the Brewers and the Braves.
Yeah, I'm all Braves in this one. I mean, I've been playing Sale pretty much every start the whole year. Gets the job done every time out, more or less. All you got to do is look at the game log, and it's just start in and start out 25, 30 fantasy
game logs, baby. We're coming on Mondays. We're back to the logs. Yes.
Yes. Game log Mondays here on Run Pure Sports. Let's rename the show. Could this be the start?
Yes, get the mask on. We're coming full circle. Yes.
Game logs.
Game log Mondays. That's even a good name.
Yes. I don't know. I don't have that much more to say. Listen, if you want to fade because of the ownership, I that's fine. But
does
for
does anyone get a harder dick than when a guy goes off fading him the next time than JT? Nothing gets him riled up more than
I don't really even understand.
So it's not that. It's not that. And first of all, I'm not saying I'm fading him. What I'm saying is the Brewers are going to be 1% owned, right? That's all I'm saying. And I think there's enough here to suggest that, Sale, as good as he is going to have a bad game or two this season. It's going to happen. He had one last season against the A's. The A's scored 8-9 runs against him.
Are you listening to what you're saying?
Absolutely.
A bad game this season, you just said.
Yeah. Out of 35? Okay, I'll take my chances. It's not tonight.
I'm not saying I'm not fading him. I'm just saying I'm not going to play him at this ownership on this slate when I think there are other options that could potentially outscore him. So go on.
Feels good to be on the chalk side for once. It feels much better. I got to change my ways.
Riles, it will be saved. It will be saved because one of two things is going to happen. And I'm not saying I know what's going to happen. I'm saying on any of these slates, when there's a 50% owned pitcher, if I see a red flag that says, hey, some run should be given up, because the other thing here is this Braves bullpen, guess what? They're becoming one of the worst in baseball. Signed Craig Kimbrell, pitched him an inning, DFA'd him. DFA'd Scott Blewett, who had been there.
That just means Sale's got to go longer into the game. It's a good
maybe, but also means if he gets knocked out in the fourth or fifth inning, which doesn't always happen, you got 4 innings of a shitty bullpen. So this isn't like, just because of ownership or whatever. It's not. I think there's some things here that maybe the Brewers can take advantage of.
This went from a semi-fade of Sale to getting in on the Brewers stack. I like this version of JT. I love to see it. JT,
are you done with this game, or DC wants to tell us how Yuri Perez, the Braves who never hit, and some other team are going to win the slate? I mean, this is right.
It's better than the Brewers and waiting for Chris Sale, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know, DC. They scored 15 runs in a game that Jesus Luzardo started on Saturday.
You get points for those tonight? If so, there you go.
Oh, but I got points for them when I played them on Saturday.
Well, that's not Saturday.
All right.
This is the best part of baseball, though. I'll say it every single show. Like, there's always a case for a 3% owned stack to play. I always use that example of what's his name? I always forget the Saber dude. What's the good guys? Squid wins. Has won literally like $7 million friggin' baseball dollars playing Milwaukee in this spot. So there's definitely
and you don't have to when they're going to be like literally 1%, 2% off. Yeah. 5, 7%. I mean, that would be so far over the field.
This is the phallic move, our boy, though.
No.
Do it all year, and you only got to hit it once.
Oh, now
you're too far, Big T. He's right, though. Big T's right.
It's the move. Once a year, you get.
We're just gonna fucking mute him as payback right now because that was so hurtful.
Wow.
That was so hurtful. I
thought I was going to get the mute, but it's Big T.
He's not going to unmute himself either. And I have to go back to it for the next game. All right, we'll unmute you. All right.
I don't even know how to do it.
I know. Okay. Big T will stay with you. Either of you guys want to play Aaron Savali against the Braves? The Well, DC, I guess you're all in on the Braves offense, right?
Not all in, but I do like the Braves. You know, like you said, you can like a team. Doesn't mean you're playing 100%, JT. But yes, I think the Braves. I mean, look this lineup. I don't know. I know they disappoint, but still good on paper. Savali sucks. Yeah, I'm in on the Braves.
All right, Big T. Any Aaron Savali for you?
I don't think I can go to Savali, but I do think a lot of these pitchers are still in. I'm going to leave more pitchers in my pool than I usually do tonight. Just some of these guys. We always do the show on Mondays where they have the $5, like I clarify every week. So I play more teams on Mondays than I usually do. Not 5 like DC, but I like both pitchers, the Sale and Wheeler. I like those builds where you spend up for both, because I don't think, even though Sale will be chalky, I don't think anyone really will play them both together. That's always been one of my favorite moves on a slate where I don't love any offense. So you can find cheap bats along the way. One of my issues with Atlanta is just these prices. They're like somewhat expensive for their good bats. It makes it tough, but I'm more on the Sale side than the bats. I don't love the bats.
All right. We'll stick with you. Next game, Toronto and St. Louis. This looks like a game, guys, that a lot of people are going to just kind of cross off and forget about, just the stadium, the matchup. But Jose Barrios, 8,100. Andre Pallante, 7,200. Barrios coming off of 2 very good starts. Pallante coming off of his worst start of the season. Big T, thoughts here on 2 cheap offenses and 2 pitchers that are seldom very good for DFS, but certainly both have shown flashes at times.
So I'll give you guys something to make fun of me about now. But Toronto feels like they just have raked. I don't have any numbers like usual to back it up. They might not even be hot, but just pure feeling. I feel like they go off every single freaking day. I need to pull the game logs up, but I feel like they've just been crushing. And you look at these price tags.
Can we stay there? Can we stay there just for a second before you get That is one thing that I'd like to see in Saber, right? You can't just click on the hitter and see the game log, right? Or the
game log Mondays. Right? Yes, you're coming full circle.
It's not important. It's not all that important to me on the hitters. I want to see the pitchers game.
I want to see the hitters though from the last 2 weeks more than this. Like when this pulls up, Saber, if you're listening, I'm always on your side, but pull up here. Because I hate what this little graph it shows me. I gotta pull up now. Saber's mad at us because we talked about it. But the little freaking chart, I don't need to see his like ceiling and his floor.
Right.
I want to see the game logs.
That's right.
Show me the last 2 weeks. I agree. But did you mute
me
while I was talking that time?
The exact DraftKings game log.
Was I muted that whole time? You guys are messing with me?
No. I muted you for like a minute and a half.
Yeah, I mean, but these prices, like this Barger dude, like 30, he's been so freaking good. 3,300.
Yeah.
Springer, even though I hate Springer, he's been pretty good. These guys have just been good and they're cheap. So the reason I'm getting a lot, and by a lot, like right now, these are my similar numbers, even though I haven't fully narrowed it down. Like I want to be ahead because I can easily stack Sale and Wheeler with a team like this. And I think they have upside in this spot. I don't love the park, but again, this is a slate where there's not a ton of just clear spots. So I'm high on Toronto and St. Louis. I like lefties against Barrios. I don't love the lefties on this team. I do like Newt Barr. Yeah. Donovan, I think, is a lefty. But overall, maybe a mini stack for St. Louis. Barrios is just solid, too. Like, he's not – I don't love picking on him unless it's a team that just has a ton of lefty power. I don't really get worried about Barrios.
DC, Barrios is a guy who is a little bit more sensitive to batted ball luck regression. His last 4 starts, a 167 BABIP against, and 89% of runners left on base. You do have some talent, some powerful lefties in this lineup. Newt Barr, I put in the playbook. I even put Nolan Gorman in there as a top value. I think the Cardinals are maybe a little bit. I think both these teams are maybe a little bit in play on this slate, just because I think the ownership is going to be fairly low. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you guys. This is bats. I think both these pitchers are more or less completely off the table for me. I'm not going to play Payante or Barrios. Good hitting conditions in Busch Stadium too. So summer night, we could see runs in this game, I think. And the Blue Jays, as always, they do make way more sense as like a full 5-man stack because it's unlikely to be a bunch of home runs. You're going to have to string some hits together, get the lineup moving. And Payante is that type of pitcher too, where a lot of contact, but not a lot of home runs given up. So that makes some sense as a cheap 5-man stack. And then kind of the same thing for the Cardinals, right? Anytime you can get a cheap stack where it wouldn't shock you at all, right? If they put up 8 or 10 runs, which I think is true of both these teams, that's probably a decent way to go. So yeah, I think the offenses are good here. Not my very favorite, but for sure would want exposure playing a bunch of lineups.
All right, we'll stick with you and head out to the West Coast to Anaheim. A's and the Angels. Jeffrey Springs, 6,800. Yusei Kikuchi, 7,700 DC. People play Kikuchi every slate, every single slate. He seems to be popular. He usually disappoints. He's been an 18% walk rate, 92% of runners left on base over the last month. What are your thoughts here on the A's and the Angels?
Yeah, everybody's saying they can't hear Big T. I don't know if
they can hear him. He's fine.
All right.
They're trying to get us fired is what they're trying to do.
I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for it this
time.
Good. I'm not.
I did like that they called him Big Mute, though. That's pretty funny. That's
big
pretty
mute. Everything's
big and Big T. Like, if you guys just truly messed with me and just acted like I would never know. You don't know.
No.
Like, looking or you can't tell when it doesn't work.
No, you can't. You stabbed me though, and so when you stabbed me, I reacted. That was. Go ahead, DC.
Yeah. So I mean, just because of the matchup here, the strikeout matchup for Kikuchi, I do think on this slate he's a pretty decent play. Again, I don't love it, JT. I'm not a guy who plays a lot of Kikuchi. Don't shake your head at my.
He's got a 17% strikeout rate, though. Go ahead. Go on.
Yeah, it's more about who he's facing, I think, with Kikuchi here. So I think he's a pretty good play. I'm using 4 pitchers on this slate: Wheeler, Sale, Yuri, and Kikuchi. So he is 4th for me on that list, but I do like him a little bit here against the A's. And then I'm seeing like Springs, a lot of places, including Run Pure Sports and Saber, have him projected. Well, I can't do it with Jeffrey Springs, though. So I'm out on that. I get why the projection is there with the strikeouts, and the Angels have really struggled against lefties, but I don't know. I'll look elsewhere, I guess, with Jeffrey Springs, especially it looks like he's going to get a decent amount of ownership. Not for me. Obviously prefer the Kikuchi side and Yuri Perez as well, assuming weather's okay. So, but not really in on the bats here either. So mostly Kikuchi in this one for me.
All right. Big T. I like the A's bats here. I'm not a believer in Kikuchi. I think his best days are behind him. Your thoughts here on the A's and the Angels?
Yeah, you get finally the A's. I feel like they've played home games all year when we've been on these slates. I feel like they've had no road games. They're finally away from that park. And don't look now, but speaking of game logs, my boy Chris Taylor, 2,200, a couple massive games this weekend, like 50 points in 2 games, staring JT down, and 2,200 against a lefty tonight. Throwing it out there, the platoons. The platoons are coming tonight, JT. They're coming for you. 2,200 and DRNO in the middle. So the Angels actually are going to be my favorite stack of the night right here. I love this lineup. Trout, Ward. You got all the lefty mashers, even Kevin Newman's dusty ass, Kingery down here, the dust balls. I can play yet another team. I can play Wheeler and Sale with a full Angels stack. These are where I want to be tonight. I want to be Wheeler, Sale, plus a full stack that I think can score. I know for a fact the Angels can score on Springs because Springs sucks. And I like the A's side too. Kikuchi sucks too. One of the reasons I think that the Indians pitcher, Ortiz, or what's his name?
Yep.
I don't think he'll be as chalky as you think because I think Kikuchi will be way chalkier in the same price range. His projection's better. I hate Kikuchi, though. I'm with you on him. I've played him a few times, and he just sucks. Like, he gets lucky, which I do think a lot of times when we see pitchers like this, at least for me, again, something that you guys can make fun of me about, I feel like they just get lucky like all year. Like he just every single freaking game he gets out of every jam. One of these games they're going to shove on him, and that's one thing I will agree with JT here. I like the offenses in this game, and I like the offenses in this game a decent amount too. The prices work. Everything kind of lines up for me here.
No matter what happens with Jeffrey Springs, if he pitches somewhat well or somewhat poorly, you are going to get at least 3 innings of this A's bullpen. So that is a reason. I mean, it's hard for me to click on Chris Taylor and Travis d'Arnaud. I understand Chris has had a couple of nice games. And
look at those price tags in the middle of the lineup. Man, they look nice. They look good.
Yeah, they're priced that way because they're hitting like 130. I mean, it's just kind of, you know.
I'm getting Chris Taylor into one of my lineups. I'm not missing out on
Let's go. Let's go.
He'll be in some of my lineups. I don't love it. I don't love it.
You love it when you see Chris Sale and Wheeler both go for 30? Oh, you don't like Sale, though.
I don't like Sale as much as you guys do. I'm playing Sale. I'm not full fading Sale. I'm just.
It looks good when you get 30 from both of them, and Chris Taylor hits 2 dongs, and d'Arnaud hits 1.
Okay. There's only so much of that I can listen to. So let's.
If all my players do awesome, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Where's our home run promotion so I can bet 5 guys again? Then if
Corey Brewer has a question for DC. With the report of 80 to 85 pitches on Yuri Perez, does that change your opinion on it?
No, I did my research, and I knew he threw 82 pitches last time out, so I was expecting right around there.
All right. There you go. Saul Goodman, our brother Saul Goodman, is in Discord. He says he believes if Pittsburgh starts around 8:30, they can play a full game. So that's what Saul Goodman thinks. DC, you're a certified weather guy. What's the take on Pittsburgh weather?
That's music to my ears, and I got the same take. We're going to get the full Yuri shove Perez for all 85 pitches. It's going to be glorious.
See, the thing about this is, Big T, and this is what I hate about myself, is I listen to this from him, and I get to making lineups, and I'm like, well, maybe.
There have been so many of these shows where you guys have made fun of me in my dust
maybe
ball.
DC is right. Yeah. Maybe DC is right. And then I'll end up looking at the end of the night at my best lineup.
That's not how
He's going to have Yuri with his 7 fantasy points.
With a -2 from Yuri Perez because he walked the fucking.
It actually goes the opposite. You refuse to do it, and then they do awesome, and you're all bitter, and that's why you're getting all angry on the show about my Yuri Perez play. I'm taking it today, JT.
Fuck me. All right. Big T, we go to San Diego, and this is a matchup that we always love to watch. Hasn't been always great for DFS, but sometimes these guys shoot it out. It's the Dodgers and the Padres, 2 best teams in the National League West. You've got Dustin May at 8K, Nick Pivetta at 9K. Dodgers recently looking a little bit more vulnerable just to top-tier pitching. I don't think that's going to last for very long. Dodgers remain on the road, head back down to San Diego. What are your thoughts here on Pivetta, May, Dodgers, Padres?
Yeah, I mean, like I've talked about, one of the only stats stuff I like looking at is just the K rates and stuff. So when we're looking at pitchers, and somehow the Dodgers in the last 30 days have struck out on this slate about as much as anybody. Like, as crazy as that sounds, I mean, I had to double check the numbers myself because I couldn't believe it. But that has to at least put Pivetta in play. Like, if you're playing teams, like, I don't like picking on the Dodgers, but again, look at the ownership. You got Sale and Wheeler, who we both agree we all agree who are the top pitchers of the slate. But if you can get Pivetta at 10% or something, I mean, he's got upside against this team. So it's a spot where in SaberSim, I might like set it to 20% or something and go maybe even like 10 to 20% where I get field up to a little bit above field. And he gives you upside. Like, you could win a tournament tonight 100% with Pivetta. So don't love the matchup. In May's been pretty good too. He pitched last Monday too. He was one of the options, right? Or one of the shows I did. He was
he was pitching against the Mets, and we thought that he was okay. And He ended up being okay, but not good enough to get there.
3 points more than my punter that you made fun of. Whatever is who was my punter, dude?
Well, I'm not real sure. I remember, but
you said his exact point total for me. Well, our boy Abello, the 3-minute rant.
Who?
He had Bello or Bayo or whatever.
Oh, did you play Bello? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
well, that didn't work well.
I haven't. The Padres haven't been a team that I've played that much. They're one of the lineups I just don't like. I do like the top of their lineup, obviously, but I never like Arias, slap hitter. I never like these dust balls at the bottom. They're like a really good team, like you said in the intro. I think they're a good team. I just don't love them fantasy-wise. And they always play in this shitty park. I'm not on them.
How can you so Chris Taylor and Scott Kingery, yes. Tyler Wade and Elias Diaz, no.
If we could bet like $100 a slate for the rest of my life, I would love to just run that 2v2 for the rest of my life.
I can't. I mean, I'm not putting money on fucking Tyler Wade. So
I mean, you got guys in the 8-9 hole in a bad park. I got 4 or 5 hole in a better situation. Like what?
It's 6 and 8, 6 and 8 or 8 and 9. I mean,
4 and 5.
Who's 4 and 5?
Who was it?
You're both wrong. Darno and Taylor are 5 and 6, and Wade and Diaz are 8.
I said Taylor and Kingery. Kingery.
You're right, 6 and 8.
Right here. Yeah, like right there. Well, you're not taking Darno, and well, we need to. I didn't
mention Darno. You said Kingery. You said you would play Kingery. That you liked him.
You're throwing a catcher in there. It's the same exact positions and prices. Wade and Diaz is the same price as my 2 guys.
All right. So
we need a side bet. You can have your dust balls. You went in there.
I don't want the dust balls. I'm not on the dust balls. I'm saying
came in on me.
Dust balls for dust balls. What I'm saying is they're the same players. All 4 of these guys are the same players.
No, they're way worse ballpark, and it's not the same.
All right.
And they're going against the Dodgers, who have a much better pitching staff. It's not even close to the same.
All right.
I got to break the tie with Big T here. I think the
Angels. I mean, I still don't get excited about playing them. But anyway.
No, me neither. But.
You can't tell me like Tyler. I mean, oh man. Okay.
I'm not saying they're better. I'm saying they are all relatively the same level of suck.
They do, but if you want to play Sale and Wheeler, you got to play a couple bad dudes.
Thankfully, I don't want to do that all that much. All right, you are in on Pivetta.
DC couldn't wait to break the tie.
No, he was excited. Eddie,
we were descending into an awkward silence. I felt I needed to jump in there real quick.
Rocket Sauce is fucking mad at me because I didn't give the Giants credit for being a good team, so he's just taking Big T's side. All right, so DC, this is what I wrote in the playbook about Nick Pivetta. On the season, he's a top 3 pitcher on this slate, top 4 pitcher on this slate. Over the last month, been really good too. Dodgers have been a little bit more vulnerable. Always makes me nervous taking a pitcher, especially one that's expensive against the Dodgers. But I do think there's a world where in the range of outcomes, Pivetta gets to 20 to 22 points, and that could be one of the top scorers on the slate. You never know. What are your thoughts here on the Dodgers and the Padres?
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with Pivetta at 10% ownership. Like that's a good play. I think even against the Dodgers, obviously you're taking on more risk. The Dodgers are an awesome offense, but Pivetta's been great. He's capable of it. There's no, he's pitching at home here. Great park. Of course, he could get there. I do think he should be lower owned than Sale and Wheeler, but
he absolutely will be. He absolutely
he is significantly. So therefore, I do think Pivetta a pretty good way to go. Dustin May, I mean, I just don't try to pick on this Padres offense very often, mostly because of the low strikeout rates throughout. Just the upside is not quite there. So can't get there with May, but also he's been good enough. Both these teams have good bullpens too, right? It's a rivalry game. You're going to see the good arms coming out of the pens early if you need to. I just have a hard time seeing either of these offenses really go crazy. So mostly off this game outside of maybe a Sheriff Pivetta.
All right. We'll stick with you for the final game of the slate. Remember, it's an early lock, 6:40 for people who aren't fine. Maybe a look. It may actually be 6:45 if they start that. No, it'll be 6:40 no matter what. So 6:40. Sorry about that. Stick with you, DC. Seattle, Arizona. Emerson Hancock 6,400. Merrill Kelly 8,500. Merrill Kelly. I don't remember if it was the show last Monday or Tuesday when he pitched against the Braves. Dominant performance, as many pitchers have done against this Braves team. But Kelly's numbers over the season put him in the top 5 of pitchers on this slate. Over the last month, the best numbers on the slate, and still getting a little bit unlucky with, I think it's around 60% of runners left on base. Gets a tougher matchup against this Seattle team. Tonight, though, what are your thoughts on the Mariners and the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, Kelly just missed the cut for me. So 5th or 6th favorite pitcher on the slate. If this was in Seattle and the Mariners looked like they had more right-handed bats potentially in the lineup, I'd like Kelly better. But it looks like it's going to be 6 left-handed bats, which Kelly's not as effective against, and in Arizona, of course, which is a better place to hit. So, yeah, like I said, Kelly, a fine play. Didn't quite make it for me. Not really going to, or don't plan to go to many Seattle bats. It would be the left-handed, really the 2 guys at the top of the lineup, Crawford and Polanco. And then, of course, Camporeale, who hits a home run every night, all look good against Kelly. But I really like the D-backs offense here against Emerson Hancock, who just no strikeouts, too many guys on base. And then, gets a big park shift downgrade here where he's got to go on the road, gets to pitch half his games in the best pitcher's park in baseball in Seattle. And this D-backs team we know can do a ton of damage. Looks like they've got pretty close to their best lineup out there tonight, at least 1 through 7. So, yeah, I'm in on this D-backs team. Definitely prefer the top half of the lineup, though. I think all 3 of the bottom guys for the D-backs are pretty big pinch hit risk. So mostly sticking to the top of the lineup, but they are one of my favorite stacks on the night for sure.
Big T, thoughts here on the Mariners and the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, interesting spot. I agree with a lot of the stuff DC said. The one thing I am definitely higher on those Merrill Kelly. Like, he's looked really, really good to me. I stacked against him like 1 or 2 of the games too, so he punished me even harder. Can't remember who it was against off the top of my head, but I like guys like that at 8,500. He's only projected about 15%. And he's just shown upside. I mean, 2 of his last 4 starts back to game log Mondays, 35 and 39. Also a luxury. He always goes over 100 pitches.
Yeah, you got to hold on. So I'm on board with Kelly. You got to discount the game against the Rockies. You can't. I mean, come on.
I mean, he went for 39 points.
I know, but it's the Rockies, Big T. You could go for 30 against the Rockies.
Anyways, even if you throw that out. Still 2 of his last 4. 29 at San Francisco, which is also kind of a cozy spot. And but 34, 35 against Atlanta. I mean, point being, he's got it back a little bit, and he's mowing a little bit out there. So I have to have some interest, but it's definitely a spot where I like Seattle too. I mean, in my builds, Seattle's a team I'm going to play every day, like in some form. Doesn't mean I'm going to go crazy and play him every team. But, I mean, the Camporeale is up to 6K because he hits bombs just every single day, it feels like. And the other thing I like about Seattle, they're always easy to stack because their good guys are expensive, but you have tons of cheap guys you can throw in there. Rowdy sucks, but he's cheap. These guys down here, Cole Young, I don't know if he's ever scored for me, but I always play him. 2,100, 0 fantasy points on the season, it feels like. But he at least makes the stats work. So this is going to be a game. I'm obviously not on Hancock here. I agree with DC. I think Arizona right there with anybody for the top team of the night for me. A lot working their way. So heavy on Arizona, pretty heavy on Merrill Kelly. And, I mean, depending on what Seattle, they don't look like they're owned either. So I'll be above the field on Seattle as well.
Uncle T says I hate game log. I don't. I look at the numbers, but I also want to put them in context of who a pitcher has faced. And he's had and I'm on Kelly, right? But I also worry a little bit just because DC, good game at Atlanta. Braves just aren't hitting anything right now.
You can't wait. DC's getting that boner going to get on us with the good games. He can't wait.
What?
You love going against the dude after he crushes. That's your signature move.
The problem is, I think with Kelly, the statistics support that he can continue this, right?
Oh,
right.
You going the other way?
I'm torn. I'll be honest with you. I'm torn. A good game in San Francisco, mash against the Rockies, mash against the Braves, but he did pitch well against the Mets as well. So it's just one of these. Again, they don't do the same thing every night, Big T. I know that's something that's a little contrarian to look at it that way. But when you have
just as much chance crushing is not doing good.
That's why but a pitcher like Kelly, yes. I'm not going to argue that point. All right, DC, thoughts here on the Mariners and the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, I gave my thoughts already, so we're good.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
On the pitchers?
Look at
Kelly?
Yeah, I said Kelly's fine, but not my favorite, and I really love the D-back stack.
That's right. He just missed the cut. All right. Big T does have me in shambles today. It's
Mondays. We're supposed to argue. Someone liked it right here. Jerome likes it. He says, I love the way you guys are honest about your picks, not afraid to disagree. I love that. See? People love that. They don't want us agreeing.
They do. All right. DC, we'll start with you. Even though we know the answer every week, most important pitcher to your success tonight?
Well, at least, I give some takes so people know where I like hearing your pictures because I have no idea where you stand when we get to the end of the show. So yes, Chris Sale, Yuri Perez, my favorite combination.
All right. I'm trying to get your guys' plays in there. I wrote the playbook. They can read the playbook and see what I'm doing. Riles would rather watch these Monday shows than bang his wife. That's good.
High praise, maybe.
That is high praise.
Maybe.
Big T.
I don't know if I agree with that. I might be on the other side of that argument.
Me too.
Might be going the other way with there.
Riles, it is about the time that the team total chart will go out. So go ahead and drop a picture of the wife in the Discord. Let's see what we're let's see what we would rather be doing. I mean, let's see. All right. Big T, most important pitcher to your success tonight.
I think it's going to be that combo where Wheeler and Sale, but honestly, I'm only going to play pretty much those top four: Wheel, Sailor, Pivetta, Kelly. But I want as much Wheeler, Sale as possible.
It looks like Riles is dropping a photo of the wife in there. Peter Porker. I wrote a whole playbook, but as I said early on, I'm going to go the ownership that I see on Sale. I'm going to move that to Zach Wheeler in my lineup. So be very heavy on Zach Wheeler tonight. That pitcher is the guy who's going to be most important to my success tonight. We got to talk about an offense as well. I mentioned that I was going to play some Brewers, but that's not the team that's going to be most important. I'm going to go with the Phillies snapping out of their malaise here against fly ball pitcher Matthew Boyd. Would take those shots on them. DC, the most important offense to your success tonight?
It'll be the Reds. Between the Reds and Yuri Perez, could be an early night off of watching baseball for old DC. We'll see how it goes, but I like the Reds the best.
The Reds and Yuri Perez, Big T. Most important offense to your success tonight?
The Angels, of course, my powerhouse middle of that lineup with Travis d'Arnaud. Let me pull it up again so I can see just how good this freaking lineup is. Yeah. I mean, Chris Taylor, Joe Adell, Scott Kingery, Kevin Newman. That's my boys tonight. Let's go, boys.
All right. Even got Kevin Newman in there. There we go. Why are those guys in not bright white?
They didn't hit the cut for me. I got to bump them a little higher, I guess. Zero out of about one. I mean, to be fair, he's supposed to be projected for 14, so I gotta crank him up a little bit.
Just throw a 20 projection on all of them and just lock.
Yeah, why not? I locked them.
Captain's got to give my boy a projection. That's why I didn't get it. Look at it, Captain. It's 0 still. Come on, Cap.
Oh, that is hatred. That is hatred. All right. Core plays will be up. The playbook is up. The playbook's been up. We'll be in Discord answering questions. Big T's platoons will be up as well. The Slate Builder, the Boom report, I'm sure, is either out or coming out in a few minutes. For DC, for Big T, I'm JT. Good luck at your contest tonight.